welcome to the first of a few videos whereby we're going to be looking at some of the new services and background to the Drinks Trust. And who better to actually start off the series but Ross Carter, Chief Executive of the Drinks Trust. So welcome, Ross.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, the Drinks Trust is the kind of drinks industry charitable organisation. It covers services across wellbeing, financial support. It will cover services across vocational training, mentoring. In the near future, it was established in 1886 as the Wine and Spirit Trade Benevolent Society, and we rebranded on the 12th of March this year. The rebrand came at a time that was just before everything kind of kicked off with COVID-19.
The impact of COVID-19 has had an enormous fallout really across the drinks industry and the hospitality sector in particular. Can you perhaps just give some details on how the Drinks Trust has responded to COVID-19 and the needs of your members and the trade?
Absolutely. It was unprecedented in terms of the actions that the charities had to take in supporting individuals over the last 10 to 12 weeks. And in that time period, we have had unprecedented amount of applications, and we've had, very fortunately, some significant donations from some of the big brand owners, not just in the UK but globally. Typically, in an average year, the organisation kind of looked to support people, as many as between 400 and 600 individuals. And in the last 8 weeks, we fundraised, launched, and paid out nearly 2,000 individuals with grants to supplement their income, particularly people who were on 0 hours working in pubs and bars, who had lost their work or had been furloughed but were on very small salaries before that.
You're now moving to sort of stage 2, I suppose, of that support, aren't you? And obviously you've done the emergency grants and helped people initially. But obviously, as we're now waiting to like sort of nearly our 10th week, I think, of lockdown, the impact on people's personal health and well-being. You're now at stage 2. Do you want to talk us through some of the wellness services that you're
Yeah, doing? Absolutely. It was when we relaunched on the 12th of March, we actually set out that we were going to introduce more wellness services, as that's been their big demand in the last 2 to 3 years. And amongst other things, and post-COVID financial support that we did, we were able to go back to this, and I suppose it was important then. It was in demand then, and it's in more so now than ever before. So in a sense, we're able to go back to things we pledged to do then, and they are just as pertinent, if not more pertinent now. So specifically, the wellness initiative services, which we launched on end of last week. Today being the 26th of May, and we set out that we were introducing a greater array of services available to members of the drinks industry. Yeah. We've had a phone line for several years now, and that will remain and act as a kind of conduit to the other services. They are specifically an initiative with Sleep Station, who are one of the leading providers of insomnia and sleep treatment in the UK, and we're going to be looking to get 300 people through that initiative and that service in the coming months, and amongst them there will be perhaps 150 who need specific insomnia treatment. Yeah. We're also doing a service through Club Soda, who are kind of leaders in the mindful drinking movement, and they have an online service which helps people to manage alcohol consumption and to kind of lead a healthy professional life in the drinks industry, and we'll be working with them. And then significantly, we're also investing quite a significant sum of money in online therapy services. We've said for some time that we were ambitious to provide access to therapeutic services through the organisation, and we've since COVID-19's become such a significant issue for the industry, we're conscious that many people will be struggling, and it's more pertinent now than ever before. We did an awful lot of research, looked at lots of providers of services, and we settled on a service called Dr. Julian, which is a web-based, telephone and text-based therapy service. It's all MA qualified or doctoral indeed, psychologists, psychiatrists and counsellors practicing an array of different therapeutic styles that people can get access to. We will initially be looking to provide 3 free of charge sessions to qualifying participants, and everything that's discussed between participants and the therapist is totally confidential. The trust does not gather that information, so we'd very much encourage people to use the service where it's relevant to them, and to rest assured that it's highly confidential. Dr. Julian himself is, as it happens, a GP, but the service is in his name. So in his spare time when he's not a GP, he's obviously a bit of a tech wizard as well, and has built a service which is now being used by several NHS trusts and big corporates in the UK. So it's a well-respected and high quality service.
And could you just perhaps talk us through how do people sign up for these services then, if they're interested in any of the ones that you've talked about?
Absolutely, yes. So of course, all the content from the content side of things is available on our website for everybody to view there. In terms of access to the other services and any that we might bring in the future, there's two obvious routes, and the first is to use our phone line, where you can speak to a counsellor, just perhaps for a short space of time, and not necessarily go on to the full Dr. Julian service, but nonetheless they can help you as a conduit to all of our services, and you can get hold of them on 0800 915 4610. And the other route, of course, is through the website, where you can fill in the application form. Like I said previously, the data we capture there is, broadly speaking, to do with just verifying that people qualify as a result of being in the drinks industry. We do not capture any details about well-being concerns. That's all dealt with on a one-to-one basis.
For those in the trade who are still struggling financially or looking for support, what would you suggest in terms of how do they contact? What's the best way of contacting the Drinks Trust?
Yeah, absolutely. We, as it happens, when lockdown began, we actually froze general applications because we simply didn't know what level of support might exist by way of donations from the industry. A lot of those businesses were supporting the on-trade directly, and for them it's a very challenging time to be giving donations. As I said, we were very fortunate to receive substantial donations from a lot of the brand owners, and as a result we're very shortly going to be reopening kind of general applications. And what that means is going to our website and filling in a form effectively, and that's the kind of conduit to any of the services we provide, be it financial support, well-being support, and anybody who's had been affected by COVID-19 or otherwise can access them through there, if not the phone line, where people can ring in directly and then gain access to the services from there as well.
Yourself, obviously, you've had unprecedented demand on the services from the Drinks Trust, which fortunately, to date, you've had the extra funding and the extra donations that have come in. What would be your message to the trade in terms of where we are now? Because obviously we're about to go into sort of like the lockdowns opening up and more restaurants and bars potentially coming back online. I mean, what would be your message in terms of like continuing fundraising and how people can donate?
That's going to be a tricky time, the weeks, the months ahead, because although obviously we're all very ambitious to be able to get back to something that resembles normality as quickly as possible, particularly in the summer months, which are so important for the on-trade in terms of trading, we just simply don't know what the knock-on effect is going to be to those businesses, to independent retailers, etc. So we are quite rightly expecting to have to engage with far more applicants as a result, perhaps, of job losses in the months ahead, and that will require more fundraising. So we've been very, very fortunate to receive the kind of funds that we have from several big businesses, and we'd of course encourage others to follow suit where they can. We appreciate that it's a challenging time for everybody, but nonetheless, if there are businesses out there who can not simply give donations, but to do fundraising exercises or sales of stock or whatever it might be, to raise funds for the organisation, because we don't foresee demand decreasing in the foreseeable future, and certainly from a well-being perspective, we suspect that the knock-on effect could be quite substantial, irrespective of whether or not you get to go back to work in the weeks and months ahead or otherwise.
And as an individual, there's also the opportunity, isn't there, to do subscriptions. So you can with this idea of like perhaps sharing the equivalent of a bottle of wine a month.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been fortunate enough to have many individual donors in the years gone by, and that's increased recently. We are working on new ways of engaging as an individual, becoming a donor member of the organisation. More details of that will be coming forthwith, but that will also include perhaps a kind of merchandise angle. For example, we want to make sure that people are able to give where they can, but that they're also able to carry the message, and that we're able to give them something back for their donation. So there's going to be more information coming on that, but nonetheless, people can quite simply go to the website now and click the donate button, and make a small monthly donation to the organisation.
Great, Ross. Well, as a donor myself, I thoroughly support everything that you guys do, and on behalf of the trade, thanks to yourself and all your team for the amazing work you do. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, and thanks for all your support in recent times as well. So thank you.
Cheers.